So Sharon, can you tell us, what are fermented foods?
Fermented foods have a long history in all cultures. Every culture has their own fermented foods. Like the Koreans have kimchi, and then Germans have sauerkraut.
Yes.
There's also kombucha. There's coconut kafirs, and so over here we have a whole array of different ferments.
So you mentioned that traditionally a lot of cultures have their own fermented foods. So how would they typically consume them?
So when we ferment foods, we leave them out at room temperature to ferment.
Okay.
To encourage the beneficial microbes to feed on the sugars and to break down the plant fibers, the protein and fats. So fermented foods are pre-digested, and they help us to digest an entire meal.
So typically, are they eaten after a meal? Is that the best way to enjoy some fermented foods?
You can eat them before, after, or during meals.
Okay. And I believe it's just a little bit that we want?
Yes.
Okay, so can you maybe show us some of these fermented vegetables and how we would make them and how we would consume them?
Okay. So these are cultured vegetables, or fermented vegetables. We use salt to ferment them, and we also use a starter. Over here we have the Lactobacillus plantarum, which is like the superstar probiotic. So it actually increases the beneficial bacteria by about 500% as opposed to a traditional way of fermenting, like sauerkraut or vegetables.
And where does this come from?
These are all different strains of bacteria, and Lactobacillus plantarum is the superstar probiotic. And so we'll just add the culture and we'll make a brine and then add it into the vegetables, massage it and pack it down into the jar, and we'll ferment it for about 3 to 4 days at room temperature, and then we'll move it into the fridge to slow down the fermentation process.
And once it then is fermented, it takes another few days in the fridge?
Yeah, you can start to eat it right away, or you can leave it in the fridge and keep for months.
For months, oh wow. And how much of this would you typically eat with a meal?
I would take about a spoonful of this.
So
helps to digest your meal.
So about a spoonful at each meal would be enough. And a lot of people like to take probiotics as well to improve the bacteria of their gut. How would these compare? Do you recommend that people do both, or is it generally one or the other?
Yeah, I would recommend starting with cultured foods first before using a supplement. It's a lot more beneficial bacteria and probiotics in cultured foods as opposed to taking the supplement. You can even feed it to newborn babies as well. They love the coconut kafir, or even the juice from the brine from the cultured vegetables.
And is it something that you would work to build up over time, or is there a certain limit that people should consume?
Yeah, you can have about a spoonful at each meal.
Yeah,
and you can build up over time. Yes.
Okay, so let's look at a few of the fermented drinks. We have kafir and kombucha. So let's look at the coconut kafir first, if you can explain how we could make that.
So coconut kafir is one of the first fermented probiotic drinks that you can start with. And it's very easy to make it. So just get about 3 coconuts, open it, separate the coconut water from the coconut flesh. So you use the coconut water at room temperature, and just add the starter to the water and just stir it in and bottle it, and you can leave it for about 24 to 36 hours for the first time you ferment it. It can go on, you can do this 6 to 7 times with the same starter.
So the same starter, one batch. You save a little bit, and then you can make it 6 more times.
So you can save about a quarter cup to start a new batch. So you can do this 6 times with each sachet.
And again, how much would you recommend drinking on a daily basis to get the benefits?
To start with, you can start with a quarter cup. And then you can have more later.
And again, this is something you would give babies and young kids?
Yes, you can give babies and young kids.
Alright. And then kombucha?
Kombucha is fermented with a sweet tea.
Okay.
So you would put some tea with sugar and add a previous starter
Okay.
to the solution, and add the SCOBY, which is the symbiotic colony of yeast and bacteria.
Okay.
That's the starter for the kombucha.
It's like a jelly-like substance?
Yeah, it's like a jelly pancake.
Yes, okay.
And you just leave it, that one, you leave it for about 7 days, 7 to 10 days at room temperature.
Okay.
And then you can start tasting to see if you like it, and then you can start to bottle it. You can also flavor it. Like for this one, I flavored it with mango and ginger.
Okay. And again, as regards the volume that you would recommend people consume, would you start with a quarter cup?
Yeah, for kombucha, you can start with a quarter cup a day.
Okay.
Kombucha is a wild ferment. It's not a controlled ferment. So I wouldn't advise people with compromised gut to start with kombucha.
Okay.
You can start with coconut kefir first.
Okay, because it's a bit more mild in your gut,
Yes.
and then move on to kombucha. Okay, so if anybody's starting to improve the health of their gut, which is the better product to start with from the point of view of it's easier to make, and also which is more gentle on your stomach as you build up bacteria?
The coconut kefir is the gentlest, and usually the first for beginners. This is great for beginners.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe start with that one and making your own. Okay.
And then you can go on to making your own cultured vegetables.
Okay.
And the yogurt as well. When you're doing the coconut kefir, you can do the yogurt together, so because you have the flesh and the water at the same time, you can do them both.
Okay. And again, you hold back some of the yogurt, and you can.
Yeah, you can do this about 6 times as well, so you have yogurt for the whole week.
So, if you're on a raw food diet, or at least trying to, have more raw foods throughout the day, can you give us some suggestions how they might be incorporated? I see you've a muesli here.
Well, in the morning you can have a smoothie, a green smoothie. Have some vegetables and some fruit. You can also, if you have some fermented drinks, you can start with the morning with the coconut kefir.
Okay.
And also coconut yogurt. So it's very easy to make the coconut yogurt, and also to have it for breakfast. You can layer it with coconut yogurt with some granola, and top it with some fruit. Or you can have granola with nut milk.
Okay. And this granola is raw?
This
so
is raw and dehydrated. It's mixed with some date paste.
Okay.
And some fruits, some dried fruits like dried apricots, and dehydrated at low temperatures.
Okay, that's delicious. So to get the benefits from raw and fermented foods and obviously dehydrated foods, is there a high investment? Like obviously to buy a dehydrator is quite a few $100s. So, do you have any advice to people on how they can start to see if they really do enjoy these foods, and then maybe they can progress to investing more?
Yeah, sure. With fermented foods, there's not much of an investment here. You just buy the vegetables and the starter.
Okay.
And then you buy good quality glass jars like the ball mason jar, because these are all lead free. And you don't want any lead getting into your ferments.
Yes.
So these are really easy to start with and really low investment.
Okay.
Then the next thing to get would be a blender, a high-speed blender. That would be to make your smoothies, nut milks, and dips.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can use a blender many times a day to make lots of different things.
All right.
And also a good quality filter as well. Water, because water is very important.
Okay.
So a good quality water filter. That's for anyone, not just for anyone starting on a raw food diet.
Yeah. Is this like a home filter to have at home?
Yeah, home filter to have at home. You can rinse for rinsing your vegetables as well as your nuts. Soaking your nuts, you want to soak them in filtered water as well.
Okay. Yeah, as a water filter at home, what do you recommend?
I would recommend a natural water, natural minerals. So the one that I use is Sargent because it's all organic food grade minerals.
Okay. And lastly, on dehydrating foods, obviously it's an investment and you need space in your kitchen for a dehydrator. So how could people maybe start experimenting with dehydrated foods?
If you want to start experimenting, you can use the oven at a low temperature.
Okay.
And but you would have to open the door ajar so that it doesn't condense. And so you can start with that first, and once you like it and you actually want to make more healthy snacks without preservatives, you can invest in a dehydrator.
Okay, and you can dehydrate all sorts of foods, right? From
Yes, you can
vegetables,
dehydrate nuts, you can dehydrate vegetables, fruit. You can make pizza bases, you can make warm up foods as well in the dehydrator. You can warm up vegetables, you can make quiche, you can make can dry herbs, make crackers and granola, kale chips, all sorts.
Wow, endless fun, endless fun. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for coming in. That was very, very informative. Some great ideas there for anybody who does want to start experimenting more with raw foods, dehydrated foods, fermented foods, and who knows what else to come. All right, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Lisa.